Fortnite is officially gearing up for the massive final live event, Voyager's Attack, and an invasion of the ancient gods. Make sure to watch the whole video to find out about all the new Reality Rift shenanigans, the secrets in the Season 2 teasers, and exactly when the live event is going down. As always, we're kicking things off with the lore and the big finale. First, the fact that my theory was spot on. Judging by the latest info and leaks, Voyager is actually going to start fracturing reality, which will open up portals to other dimensions. In the leaks, we can see that these portals are all different, and one of them shows some kind of frozen reality. This is basically a direct teaser for the next season, which is going to be tied to Norse mythology. Backing up the theory I talked about in my last video, everything points to us being on a completely different island in Season 2, but we'll get into that later. At the same time, sparking a huge red rift in the sky, just like the ones we saw in the OG. That's why the Visitor has officially landed on the island and is now an NPC. They've also tossed in new audio for him, the Order, and Amy, an AI created by the scientist that we haven't heard from in like 3 years. We'll be diving deep into these audio and NPC lines in a lore video I'll be dropping soon, so hit that like button. But here's a major spoiler I gotta give you now. The Visitor confirms he's from a completely different reality than the Order.
We originate from different realities, perhaps even divergent timelines.
But he's still gonna help the Seven. He also knows the Voyager, because he's been chasing him through the dead universes, where the Voyager was collecting fragments for the 0 point. The big deal about the Visitor being from another reality is that he's got a full squad of the Seven, meaning he hasn't lost anyone. This suggests we're gonna see new versions of all the characters, including the Imagined, who is dead in our reality, but alive in his. You should totally expect her skin to hit the shop soon. As for the island itself, it looks like the Voyager is about to jet off on a trip to snag another 0 point fragment. At some point, he's going to use his ship to fire at the 0 point, cracking open some reality portals. These rifts are going to be all over the island, and you'll be able to peek into other universes where the missing 0 point fragments are hanging out. Now, here's my own personal hot take. The next season is either going to take place within those new islands, or maybe, and this is a stretch, every season will be set in an alternate reality. After what they pulled with The Simpsons, I wouldn't rule it out, but it feels like a long shot. Anyway, once all those 0 point fragments are collected, it should be complete. But check it, the end of season event isn't actually about the 0 point, it's all about the Seven's rocket. Jones even made us clear a zone in the latest weekly challenges, and now we've got a launch pad for the rocket we'll be seeing there soon. That's how we'll get the Season 1 final event. Plus, it's already been leaked that this event will be split into 2 phases. I've been saying this for a whole year now, but I'm even more convinced that the Chapter 7 finale will go down on the same day as the OG mode finale. The 2 realities are going to collide somehow, or maybe even a whole Fortnite 2 to rack up some hype for marketing. We'll continue with the lore in a bit. For now, let's switch gears back to what happened in the last update. The new Battle Royale stuff is pretty light. The DeLorean is back, and the car is also coming to the shop soon. The Valentine's Day theme is officially over with this update, so bye-bye to K-pop Demon Hunters and the Cupid crossbow. I'm still scratching my head about the Seven's cannon, which was supposed to be in this patch, but maybe got pushed back due to delays. Luckily, the solo leveling collaboration made it in on time. We've got 3 skins total. Starting with the main character, who, by the way, has 2 styles. You can check out his back bling and his dual pickaxes. The second skin is here with her own pickaxe and back bling. The sword, by the way, is the one the skin is actually holding. Finally, this guy has 2 styles, red and shadow, which means 2 capes. Same goes for the sword. This isn't the only collab this patch, just the only one that's unencrypted. There are a few packs not visible in the game yet. Random as heck collab is the Disney back blings, dropping on February 22nd. Next up, we're supposed to get the Honkai Star Rail collab on the 26th. A collab that Fortnite fans have been begging for forever is Game of Thrones, so we might see them in the shop over the next couple of weeks. For now, we know it's 3 skins, 3 back blings, 2 pickaxes, and 2 emotes. There are also 2 older collabs that are supposedly getting new items in this update, like the back bling and pickaxe for the Ninjago skin that's currently in the Battle Pass. They might just straight up give those away. We're also getting a new Daft Punk graffiti, but who knows if that's just a locker item or a teaser for a second wave of content. Moving on to original Fortnite skins, the March crew pack has been leaked. It's this one right here, and it's got some Nordic elements that could be a teaser for the upcoming Season 2. Another new skin that might be coming soon is Dorian. Some of you might remember him, as he was added literally a year ago, but never made it to the shop. Now it looks like he's been updated and is ready to go. It's confirmed we're getting a new style for Jonesy on February 23rd. That loading screen isn't a skin, but the cool thing is, it's probably a free reward for doing quests. And finally, there's a new banner that ties into all this, which you'll also be able to get somehow. Shifting to non-skin items, we've got this new sidekick coming out on February 21st. If you have that Season 8 back bling, if I remember right, you'll probably get one of them for absolutely free. As for shoes, only these ones are confirmed for now, and they'll drop on the 24th. Back to the update, we have to talk about the Star of the Lantern Fest event, which only affects the reload mode. Besides the skin, we're also getting 2 free cosmetics that you can unlock from February 19th to the 25th by completing 8 quests. That number isn't random, since the mode is adding the option to play in squads of up to 8 people. They're also adding a new streamer bundle, which is this one right here, and it drops on the 23rd. This event also reset the reload rankings, and the current season, for lack of a better word, ends on August 18th. Now for the part most of you are probably gonna lose it over. It looks like they've manually updated the loot and map for The Simpsons, so it makes total sense for its mini-season to come back for the reload or blitz modes. As for the OG mode, Season 8 is still over a month away, but this update already spilled the beans on the 3 Battle Pass skins. It's been a minute since I talked about Save the World mode, which, by the way, is the original game, not just a mode. The big takeaway here is that we'll get a new banner and graffiti that you'll probably earn in that mode. The biggest news about Save the World is that there's talk of it going free to play in 2027. So yeah, we've got a ton of new stuff, especially with the lore. But to get fully caught up, we'll continue with the latest events that hits the Golden Coast. Even though we still have 2 updates before the season launches, the community is already focused on 2 things: how this season ends and what the next season is really about. Those questions are impossible to ignore. I've talked before about my theory around the Dark Voyager and where his story could be heading, but now it's time to zoom out and connect the dots. Because if the clues are pointing where I think they are, we're about to crash straight into a reality filled with Norse gods, ancient rituals, and something much bigger than anything we've dealt with lately. Before we can predict the full storyline of Season 2, we need to understand how the current season, Pacific Break, is likely to wrap up. At this point, I'm almost sure we're getting an event. Maybe not a massive end of chapter spectacle, but at least something on the level of a mini-event, similar to the Chapter 5 Season 1 Pandora's Box moment. A quiet ending just wouldn't fit the pace we're seeing. Look at how fast the Dark Voyager plot has moved. In just a short time, he's gone from hovering over the island to focusing on the 0-point shard, opening a rift, disappearing, and reshaping the lab area. That is a lot of major story movement in a tight window. When you compare that tempo to the Cube Queen storyline, it becomes obvious that Fortnite is building the same level of danger in far less time. And when Fortnite accelerates the narrative like this, it usually means one thing: a climax is coming. The story isn't going to just fade out. I think the final event will mirror the structure of the Chapter 5 Season 1 finale, but with a completely different purpose. This time, the Dark Voyager's focus will be the 0-point shards, and I believe his disappearance wasn't random at all. Fortnite has been showing us that he's more than a villain with a spaceship. He's a voyager between realities, and his mission is to gather the 0-point fragments scattered across different worlds and fuse them back together. Leaks have been hinting that the rifts tied to this storyline aren't all the same. The realities inside them have different colors, and there are 4 in total. To me, that feels like intentional foreshadowing. Each color likely represents a different reality, and each reality could set the tone for what comes next. Not just one season, but the roadmap for several seasons ahead. So why would he do any of this? The most likely answer is that he's doing it in the name of the last reality. And honestly, I don't think there's any doubt we'll see the last reality return in this chapter. Skins Survey have already been circulating that show crown wearing characters who visually echo the Cube Queen, but with a totally different design language. One of them looks chaotic and even has chrome-like elements, which feels less like coincidence and more like a warning. New rulers are coming, and they might not be alone. That also explains the Dark Voyager's behavior. He doesn't feel like someone improvising. He feels like someone following a plan, step by step, building toward a moment where multiple forces finally collide. In the event itself, I imagine we launch an assault on the Dark Voyager's ship. The objective would be to push into the core control area and shut the portal down from the inside. And yes, I think we'll succeed, at least on the surface. The portal will be closed, and the Dark Voyager will be forced back. But the celebration won't last, because by the time we shut it down, it'll already be too late. The rift will have done its job. Something from the other side will have made it through, and that's where the story takes a hard left. The guests that arrives won't be another variation of cubes. It'll be something mythic and something aggressive. A force tied to Norse mythology. The gods will seize key locations across the island and start imposing their own order before anyone can stop them. At first, the idea of Fortnite tying this to Norse gods might sound wild, but it becomes a lot more believable when you remember how Fortnite has been blending realities lately. We've already seen objects and threats cross between chapters in ways that prove the boundaries are thinner than they used to be. If the red cube can echo across timelines and appear again later, then an invasion that connects to the Ice King's past and older mythic power is not only possible, it's the kind of twist Fortnite would absolutely lean into. On top of that, the community has been hearing about a Norse-inspired season for a long time. And while leaks are never perfect, some of the same leak waves that mentioned this also correctly called other major story beats. So even if you take it with caution, you can't just dismiss it. The map itself also feels like it's whispering the same message. Certain terrain choices look like callbacks to older chapters, and some details feel placed on purpose. The giant bear tracks are a great example. On their own, they could just be set dressing. But in Norse mythology, bears are symbolic. They represent strength, warrior spirit, and primal power. When you combine those hints with the leak trail and the current storyline direction, it starts to feel less like random decoration and more like setup. Once the gods arrive, that's when Season 2's real story begins. They won't just show up and stand around like background characters. They'll take over, reshape the island's power structure, and prepare for the arrival of something even darker, the Nothing. And unlike past myth-themed seasons where the villains sometimes felt passive, this time the antagonists will move like conquerors. Odin and Thor won't be portrayed as heroic legends. They'll be invaders, working toward a goal that serves a larger and more sinister force. We'll fight back, of course. Jonesy and Hope will be at the center of that resistance, and we'll likely get a major early season battle where we try to stop the gods head-on. And we'll lose. That loss matters. Fortnite stories work best when the heroes get humbled first, because it raises the stakes and forces new alliances. The turning point will come around mid-season, when bigger names enter the picture. I think Kratos returns, and I also think Midas comes back. Fortnite loves its cycles, and Midas showing up during key Season 2 moments has basically become a pattern. If the island is facing god-level enemies, then bringing back characters with mythic connections and strategic influence makes perfect sense. Then comes the move that pushes everything toward the finale. Odin brings the Ice King onto the god's side. Whether it happens through manipulation, promises, or a bargain, it lines up with older leaks, suggesting the Ice King was always meant to be more important than what we've seen so far. As the season nears its end, the truth becomes unavoidable. Odin and Thor are building a portal designed to summon the entity they serve, the being we know as the Nothing. But the story doesn't end with them winning, because the real twist is the Ice King. The heart of the narrative becomes his decision. At some point, he realizes he's being used. He understands that serving the Nothing isn't just another war or another conquest. It's the end of everything, and he refuses to be part of that. During the summoning, right as the portal begins to open, the Ice King takes control. He redirects the portal, forcing Odin and Thor back into their own reality. And with the full force of his power, he seals them away, trapping them in an ice prison that they can't break out of. He saves the island, but it costs him everything. Why would the Ice King do it? To answer that, we have to look at his past and what his story has been building toward this whole time. And this is exactly where the developers are lining up a mind-blowing comeback for a legendary bad guy. According to data found in the game files, the boss with the codename Ice King is tied directly to the structure of Season 2, not the current game files. This explains why Epic intentionally put a hold on his skin and storyline during the OG season, leaving fans scratching their heads. His part is way more massive than just a nostalgic cameo, plain and simple. Plot-wise, this meshes perfectly with the idea that the Ice King is not just a winter character, but a mythical, almost Titan-level figure, which fits the lore of the icy world of Jotunheim and the coming Ragnarok like a glove. Considering many of you only jumped into Fortnite during Chapter 5 or 6, let's take a closer look at this figure. The Ice King is one of the most powerful yet tragic characters in Fortnite history.